get to your opponent, Tony Burke. He said a couple of days ago that he couldn't care less about free speech if it undermined social cohesion after blocking dozens of visas. Kanye West was among them, former Israeli politicians, another. What are your thoughts on those comments?
Look, I want to know what standard Tony Burke is applying. He's been making these decisions behind closed doors. We're not actually clear on what the standard is. So more than happy for people who are, who don't conform to Australian values to be denied a visa. We just want to know what the standard is, and we want it to be applied consistently. Yeah. Tony Burke is the Minister for Home Affairs, not for double standards, and he needs to become clear about what the standard is.
And so you're and I haven't heard anything to the contrary here, but Kanye West, people like that not coming here, this former Israeli politician who's been critical of terrorists' children in the past, you'd be okay with them being kept out?
I just want to know what the standard is so that we can objectively assess each case, not just on the minister's desk, but also publicly as well. Because, we saw the bridge march over the weekend. We saw Al-Qaeda flags, we saw an ISIS flag, we saw PLO flags. There are all sorts of undesirable characters in this country at the moment who are un-Australian in their values. And so we just want to know what the standard is, and we want to see applied evenly.
Just on that, Andrew, what did you make of that? Because, you had members of the government who were trumpeting the success of that march, and like you pointed out, some of those flags, support of Iran, support of others as well. What came to your mind there?
Pete, I'm an Australian, and I want to channel what a lot of regular Australians are thinking out there, and we're just sick and tired of seeing these ancient hatreds spill out onto our streets. This is Australia. All of us who are citizens have obligations to our country, to our values, and we don't want to see these hatreds imported to our country. So if people want to contest this stuff, that's great. You can do it in the Middle East, but not here on our iconic harbour bridge. Yeah. And I think that sentiment is pretty widespread.
Okay, let's go to the Middle East now on this question of declaring a state of Palestine. The Prime Minister had a call with the French President overnight. He's meeting with Mahmoud Abbas at the UN next month at the General Assembly there. Do you feel like there's an inevitability about all of this, that Australia will follow France's lead?
I think we need to be really careful here. There's a lot of conditions to be met before we can actually have a Palestinian state. Of course, we all want a two-state solution, but who's going to be the governing authority? Hamas? A group of people committed to the destruction of Israel? How's that going to work? Who's going to be the leader? And if you pull out a Google Earth and you look at Gaza right now, it's rubble. You can literally see on Google Earth that it's rubble. So how is a state going to function? There's a lot of things that have to happen before we get to that point yet. And my concern is that by recognising a Palestinian state now with Hamas in command and control of Gaza, we're just emboldening terrorism. But also for Israel, I want to know what the end game is. This war has been going on for two years. They were right to go after Hamas. They were right to fight for their hostages. There are still hostages being held. But what's the end game here? And I think that's what a lot of Australians are asking as well.
Well, the Israeli government at the moment is considering a full-scale reoccupation of Gaza. Would you be against that?
Look, I've supported Israel since October 7th, but I want to know what the end game is. Yeah. Like everyone, we want peace, and that involves compromise. And this has been going on for thousands of years. People who just rush to a two-state solution, it's a bit of a crutch. There are no easy solutions here. We've got to be realistic here. This has been happening for a long time, and so we've got to create a better political reality. That's going to require compromise. But as long as Hamas is there, and as long as Hamas is committed to the destruction of Israel, a two-state solution is going to be very difficult. And I suspect if you polled Palestinians and if you polled Israelis, there wouldn't be a lot of support for a two-state solution right now as it is.
And what sort of a difference would making such a declaration actually make on the ground?
Precisely, I don't know. And so I fear this is being driven by domestic political concerns, which is not a good enough reason to rush into these massive decisions that have consequences, right? You just played that video of that poor hostage. Yeah. My heart breaks for those families. It's going to require compromise, and there are no easy solutions. So I'm not going to get on morning TV and say, do this, do that. It's real tough. It's really tough.
Yep, that's why we still don't have the answers after so long. But good to see you this morning, Andrew. Appreciate it. Talk to you again soon.